Hey, it's Global Politics with Jim Martin. It's time for me to talk about Israel. I'm going to jump right in and talk about my context. I've been to Israel 5 times, usually as part of archaeological digs. I've also been there as a researcher and interviewed societal and political decision makers. I've been in northern Israel mostly, but also I've spent time in Jerusalem, Haifa, and a bit in Tel Aviv too. I also have many friends in Israel. These are the sources of the insights that I will share with you, but also represent the biases that are inherent in my view on this issue. Ground rules. I'm not here to validate the overt anti-Semitism of the far right, nor the scarcely veiled anti-Semitism of the far left. And I'm not here to turn a blind eye to the many crimes of the Netanyahu regime. If you're a proponent of any of those creeds, this isn't an airport. You can depart at any time. Here's what I know. Israel is not a creation of colonialism. I realize that arbitrary and often anti-Semitic and racist policies of the colonial powers created some of the conditions for the emergence of Israel as a country. However, Jews and Arabs and Palestinians and other ethnicities have lived in Israel for millennia. Larger numbers of Jews began to immigrate in the mid-1850s, long before the Balfour Declaration. These folks were mostly fleeing virulent anti-Semitism in Europe and Russia, and that's well before the Holocaust. Israel as a democracy has a right to exist. Similarly, the Palestinians have also lived in the area for a really long time and have a right to exist in peace and security as well. For a variety of reasons, stretching back decades, the leaders of Israel and the leaders of Fatah and Hamas bear responsibility for the current horrific state of things. The United States nor any international or regional power has done much to help either, particularly in the last 20 years. A few examples among many. One, Ariel Sharon's precipitous 2005 withdrawal from Gaza allowed Hamas to fill a power vacuum created by Fatah's corruption and ineffectiveness as a governing force. After taking power, Hamas did not attempt to govern, instead slaughtering their opponents and settling scores. They cowed the people in Gaza into submission through violence, then set about a policy of attempting to destroy Israel. Regardless of what you think, an unreachable goal. Netanyahu, prime minister essentially since 2009, might have done the difficult work to effectively work with Fatah and regional powers like Jordan, Egypt, Turkey, others, to sideline Hamas, but instead chose to pursue a politically expedient, for him, policy of encouraging illegal settlements in the West Bank. Furthermore, he just simply walled off Gaza and occasionally bombed it. After walling it off, he began to siphon off funds and personnel from the Gaza border security posts, creating a paper tiger wall that Hamas breached to horrific effect on October 7th, 2023. By welding U.S. foreign policy to that of Israel and Netanyahu's governments, the United States has lost any scrap of the potential to be a respectable third-party arbiter. The Trump administration ain't that either. I could go on, but suffice to say, no one has clean hands in this situation. The tentacles of responsibility lead in many directions. However, to my reasoning, Netanyahu bears the brunt of the responsibility, a judgment shared by many of my Israeli friends who have joined tens and even hundreds of thousands of protesters who weekly have expressed their outrage over Netanyahu for 4 to 5 years. Netanyahu has a strong incentive to keep the war going for as long as possible and to remain in power. if he leaves government early or is defeated in the next election, he will almost certainly go to prison for corruption charges that go back, again, decades. How does this end? It's clear that Netanyahu's ultra-right cabinet isn't going to bend or compromise. Indeed, they'll press things forward, regardless of any domestic or international pressure. Arms embargoes are a good idea. Perhaps. The Israeli government has proven remarkably resilient in finding weapons before when under embargoes. They will find what they need to defend their country, and in this case, to continue to prosecute the war, regardless of where it comes from. Everyone should hope and pray that Netanyahu's government somehow falls in the near future. Elections are 14 months away in October of 2026. A two-state solution would be ideal. However, right now, Gaza and the West Bank are, first, incapable of governing their own territory. In the West Bank's case, it is splintered by settlements and hardly contiguous. Fatah has no real way to govern the entire depth and breadth of it, especially in its kind of shattered state. Neither Gaza nor the West Bank are capable of generating meaningful economic activity. During more peaceful times between the neighboring states, Gaza and the West Bank imported at least 95% of their food and virtually all of their energy supplies. Finally, both the West Bank and Gaza are seemingly bereft of leaders who have the experience and reputation necessary to govern in anything approaching a just manner. We know what we have in the Israeli leadership at this time. Additionally, and this is a key sticking point for those who are pressing for the recognition of a Palestinian state, in order for that to have any sort of real on-the-ground meaning, Israel has to participate. They have to sign off on that. The outlook for that is quite grim until there's a new Israeli government. Not a positive outlook here, in my opinion, and a difficult chain of responsibility, guilt that always ends up in more or less the same place. A violent, difficult, and treacherous path for any who wade into it. I hope you find that interesting, and I look forward to talking again on the next one. Please subscribe, really helps the channel out. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thanks.